welcome back to the Youth Climate Action Summit. My name's Olivia, and I will be your host for this next session. So this session here is focused on strategy number 2 of the TDSB Climate Action Guide, which is join a campaign. It comes right after the get people talking strategy, because once you have people talking about climate change and climate action, the next natural step is to actually do something about it. So we're just going to open with a quote from a TDSB student on the next slide here. So it is important for youth to be aware of what is going on in the world today, in our world today. The effects of climate change will only get worse as time goes on, and we need to be and make the change. It is important for us as young people to take matters into our own hands and help make a positive impact. Joining causes and networking with other groups is an excellent way to do so. You will build new relationships with peers with the same goal in mind. This will not only be an awesome learning experience, but will also be a commitment to a great cause. So that was from Muhammad, a TDSB student. Just have a few more people entering the waiting room. I'm just going to admit them, sorry. Okay. Welcome to those who just joined. So this strategy is really perfect for those of us who want to take action on climate change, but don't really know where to begin, where to start. So a great first step is to join a campaign that already exists, because they've done the work for us. We can just join in and take action. So with that, I'd like anyone who has a device, teachers can also submit on behalf of their class. You can submit multiple responses, but if students have access to their own devices and are allowed to use them in their classroom, they're welcome to submit individual responses as well. So you just head to the website up at the top, and then once you get on, I just want you to answer the following questions. So what makes you angry about how people treat the environment, or what annoys you most about the way the environment is being treated? So I see some answers coming in now. Selfishness, food waste, how people litter, without caring, not thinking about consequences for the future, wasting paper. Yeah, when people litter and don't think about the effect on the future generations, companies profiting off polluting the environment, companies using too much packaging, littering on the streets. Yeah, not taking their own advice on climate issues. They're coming in a lot now. Yeah, litter, trash on the ground, racism and unfairness, plastic in the ocean. Yeah. Okay, so those are some really great responses. We can use, all of these passionate responses, our anger and our annoyances, to come up with, a broader goal and take steps to achieve, fixing that problem, or, coming up with some sort of solution. So that's exactly what a campaign is all about. So what exactly is a campaign anyway? Very simply put, a campaign is just a strategically organized course of action used to achieve some sort of change. So it could be a series of small projects that, works toward a larger goal, and it's typically political or social in nature. So the key thing here, though, is that it has a goal in mind. It has a purpose, and then we break those down into smaller steps to achieve that goal. So there's many different types of campaigns, and I'm sure you are all aware of some of them. So for instance, electoral campaigns, used in elections, or presidential campaigns when government parties or government bodies are trying to share their platform with the public and try to get people to vote for them. So it's all about spreading awareness and educating the public on what they're doing, what their goal is, and what they hope to achieve for the public. And then there's social campaigns, which all of these are have a social component in them because they all involve people. But in this one, it's more so referring to the business side or marketing strategies. So this could be, a company comes out with a new product and they want to share it through advertisements, educating the public again about what their new product is, what it does, or it could be shifting a culture or a mindset about something. So, for instance, a whole public health campaign that involves, education and spreading awareness about how smoking is bad for you, or advertising, um, and educating the public. And then there's environmental campaigns, which is more so our focus of today. So this could involve climate action, creating awareness around environmental issues or creating awareness around climate change, and then really making a positive change or making steps toward achieving a solution. So we're just going to head back to the Menti poll and the next slide here. So what environmental campaigns do you already know of, or maybe you've already participated in one without realizing? So this could be, an organization that you've been involved in. So for instance, Fridays for Future is a good example. It could be an environmental event that was part of a larger campaign. So for example, one organization, their campaign could be with a larger goal of planting trees in Ontario, planting a certain number of trees. And then one action that they took to achieve that campaign or part of that campaign was, to plant trees in their local communities. So maybe you took part in tree planting. So any sort of action, yeah, exactly, tree planting. That's okay if you're not sure, but even if you can recall any sort of organizations or companies, that have some sort of climate action or environmental lens to it. Nifty dog treat. Fridays for Future, they have a climate action goal in mind. Community garbage cleanup, absolutely. Yeah, have you taken part in Earth Day, for instance, before? Have you turned your lights off for an hour every year? Anything like that. So I'll give you a few more minutes to think about it. I'm sure you all know of some. Greenbelt Campaign, Earth Hour, Team Seas, Ocean Cleanup. Even if you don't know the name of the organization, what have you done maybe that may have been part of a campaign? Banking on a Better Future, World Wildlife Fund, seeing a lot of Team Seas, Earth Hour, Waste-Free Lunches, Earthrise, that's a good one. There's Food Share, I think, is another good one. There's a lot of great ones out there. Hug a Tree. All right, we'll leave it at that for now. Those are all really great ideas. And I'm sure you all have been involved more than you think. So here are some that we came up with and different examples of environmental events that you could take part in that are part of campaigning. So for instance, you could participate in a climate event. So that could be, organized by a local group. It could be Fridays for Future or climate action, climate march or strike. You could help the city of Toronto promote their Transform TO project. This is a campaign that the city of Toronto runs, which has a goal of achieving net zero emissions by 2040. So that means they're reducing their emissions so that they don't produce any more than they use, net zero. So by 2040, that's their campaign. You could participate in tree planting events organized by the community. So whether that's planting trees in your school, in your local park, and that's usually organized by a community group. Volunteering for a community garden project. Signing climate action petitions, and organizations that run those are, for example, there's 350.org or Stand Earth. And then also part of campaigning is sharing it with your broader network. So whether that's sharing it on social media or whatever way that you can get the word out, it's part of the educational or spreading awareness part of the campaign. You can invite a group to make a presentation about clean green technologies, perform an energy or waste audit at your school, or organize and participate in a climate action event at your school. So for instance, these are ones that we may be more familiar with, like Earth Hour or International Walk to School Month in October, National Sweater Day, where I think everybody wears a sweater for climate change, things like that. And there's always things going on. So here's just an example for you. This was Humbercrest Public School and other TDSB schools. They participated in Fridays for Future climate strikes back in 2019 and 2020. And students created their own signs and they marched around the school neighborhood for the climate strike. So in solidarity with the organization Fridays for Future. So my task here for you is these are environmental events that happen, all year round. They happen every year, around the same time every year. And these are the ones upcoming in the next few weeks or so the rest of February and in March. So my challenge to you is to have a look through these different ones. These are all linked here, and I'm going to share the presentation with the teachers in the chat in just a minute. But have a look through these upcoming campaigns or environmental events and decide as a class what goal you have, based on what anger, the first question that I asked, what makes you angry about how we treat the environment, or what annoys you most, whether it's litter or pollution. And then thinking about a goal that you can start to achieve or come up with a plan to achieve that helps to create a solution to that problem. So once you have, as a class, decided on something that interests you, whether that's pollution, water, something, as a class, decide on a common goal, what you want to focus on, and then you can look at these different campaigns upcoming in the next few weeks and see if one of them aligns with that goal. So for instance, World Water Day or Canada Water Week, that might line up really well if you care about ocean pollution or ocean waste, something like that. So you can pick one of these days or one of these events and align it with your goal as a class of what you want to achieve or what action you want to take, and then have a go at filling out a template. So choose one of those climate action events happening in February or March, and then come with just a very brief plan, of how you could enact that goal. One step you could take towards making that a reality. So, decide on a goal or a focus or interest as a class, pick one of the events happening in February and March that aligns with that goal, one of those campaigns, and then have a go at filling out the template. So here's what the template looks like. Don't be scared. I know it's a lot, but you don't have to fill out the whole thing. It's just for teachers to take and use if they want to, create their own campaign in the future. It's just a good brainstorming document, and maybe even come up with 1 point for each of these boxes. So class up here, you could just write the last name of your class, of classroom teacher, your school, the event title, so whichever one you choose, and the date that it's going to happen. So the interest or focus that you want to decide on as a class. What existing campaigns, so it's basically the same as this column up there, the event title. What existing campaign are you choosing to align your goal with? What is your main purpose or objective or goal of your campaign? How will you spread the word about it? Are you going to make posters and put it around your school? Do you want to create a social media educational awareness campaign? Maybe you just want to present on it in an assembly, something like that. And then I challenge you to make or come up with at least one step that you can take toward that goal. So, for instance, the next upcoming one, I believe, is the backyard bird count, the great backyard bird count. And you go outside and you listen to the different birds and you count what you see and what you hear. So a first step that people could take is just, going outside, or maybe going outside and counting or listening to birds, something like that. Just one action that you could take, that you could really do in your classroom, that helps to work toward your goal. So I'm just going to share in the chat. Okay, so I shared the presentation in it, and it's only for teachers to edit, please. So no students on the document, but you can come up with this as a class and talk amongst yourselves, and then write in the template. So if I just exit that, there should be enough of these, one for every class. So just find a free slide to write on. If somebody's writing on it, find another slide. So yeah, the link is in the chat. You should be able to edit it, and you can start filling out just even one bullet point for everything, just to start thinking about it. There should be enough slides for each class. All right, so I'm just going to put on a little timer, and you'll have about 15 minutes or so to do that. I might have to cut it a little bit short. If you have any questions, please just put it in the chat, or you could unmute. Great. So I saw some really, really great planning and brainstorming happening on the docs. Would anyone like to share maybe what event they chose or campaign they wanted to take part in, and maybe one of the actions that they're planning to take, like whether that's a poster or school announcement or something? The floor is yours for anyone who wants to share.
So Ms. Kohlmeyer, my class is going to be, when we are able to, making a club to help clean the schoolyard. So
I love it.
Our interest and focus is going to be cleaning up waste from the schoolyard and maybe composting or reusing some things. We already have an existing campaign, which is in grade 4, I made my club, but we're gonna add on to that. So that's our existing campaign. Our goals and purpose is we just wanna make the schoolyard, you don't see garbage everywhere you go, basically. And we're gonna promote this by the school PA system and like putting posters around the school.
Wow,
so
that sounds amazing.
Our action plan, when we are able to, is to assemble a team to lead the initiative, make posters to advertise it, and then fundraise to purchase equipment for everyone.
Amazing. What a great idea and a great plan. And I really look forward to seeing it. Thank you for sharing.
Go ahead, Mom. May I share my plan? Our class plan? Our class is 7A from the school, Smithfield Middle School, and our event title is Earth Hour. Our interests and focus are waste, cleaning up garbage, and turning off the electricity. Our goals and purpose and objective is to make our community clean and save electricity. Our actions for this event would be going on walks, putting up posters around the community, and making announcements to educate people about littering. Promotions and communication. Posters around the school and in our community, billboards, social media, local newspapers, flyers, radio stations, announcements, ceremonies, assemblies, and articles, brochures and articles. Existing campaigns, some existing campaigns that relate to ours would be the International Forest Day.
Amazing. Thank you so much for sharing that. That sounds like a lot of great things in the works there. That's fabulous. I can't wait to see what happens And then someone also shared in the chat with their class, they're doing a reusable water bottle campaign, and they want to make posters, morning announcements, assembly, and that's also a really, really great plan. So thank you all for sharing that. I have some good news for those of you who, may need some funding to help with your projects. There is a new grant. A new grant that was just released. I don't even know all of the details on it yet, but essentially there was $50,000 up for grabs for funding in this year, 2020. So up to a maximum of $1,000 for each project. So you can request up to $1,000 of funding. And it's available to TDSB student-led groups. So as long as the students are the leaders behind the campaign or the project, you should be good. And the applications are going to be released sometime around in the spring of this year. So there will be more information about that in a little presentation in the closing ceremonies. So definitely stay tuned for that, because I don't even have all the details, but you can ask them all the questions that you have about that, how to apply for that at the closing ceremony. So just want to thank you all. Oh, sorry, I have some additional resources as well. So there were the TDSB annual environmental events that we looked at today, and we just looked at the ones from February and March, but there's ones happening all year round that you can take part in. The Community Climate Action Plan template guide, which we were working with to just help plan your event. And then there was the City of Toronto's Transform TO project linked there. So yeah, thank you all for coming out today and participating. It was really lovely to have a group that was sharing and participating as much as you. So thank you so much for that, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.